They just found something so bizarre that proves that gold is here on this island. Did they find a hidden chest that has a map to the actual treasure? Well, in this video, we are going to find that out. Craig Tester and Steve Guptill, along with Alex Lagina and the rest of the crew, are gathered to begin the latest large-scale excavation with the hope that they will uncover the second shaft, over 100 feet deep, and built in the early days of the 18th century, believed to be only a few feet southeast of the original money pit. To do this, they will be digging up the first ever searcher shaft on Oak Island. Their current goal is to obtain some pieces of the shaft and conduct dendrochronology on it, which will be able to tell them the year this wood was formed on a tree. According to Craig, if anything will be able to tie them back to the original money pit, it would be shaft 2. The tree rings they spot on the wood will tell them when it was cut down. If they can uncover and confirm the date to around 1805, they will not only be able to locate the original money pit, but also find the source of the precious metals they have detected in the area. They excavate a big piece of wood they believe could have belonged to one of the long walls. But the question remains, does this belong to shaft 2? According to Rick Lagina, the second shaft is like the Holy Grail in terms of significance. They are closer than ever to finding the money pit. The wood they pull out is rounded and thick, which Craig believes is the outside of the tree, and could be excellent for their testing. They take multiple samples of this wood when Marty Lagina arrives on site, and they decide to use a mirror to take a closer look at what's down there, by reflecting light into the dark corners. Marty describes how incredible it is what people in the past were able to accomplish with their limited technology, but also how they need to think to find the money pit. Gary uses his metal detector and finds a signal in one of the scoops of dirt, pulling out a rosehead spike which remains in great condition, possibly from the 1700s. Between the 1780s and mid-1800s, rosehead spikes were created for construction. This could be another clue. They note a lot of boards in the dark pit, and they decide to try and take some of those beams off the walls. Rick notes the mix of older wood and how the second shaft was built in the early 1800s, likely a great match to that old wood. If they find a match between that wood and this time frame, they will have the first discovery shaft on Oak Island, an amazing accomplishment. The operator of the excavator is flying blind but being instructed by Scott as they carefully maneuver the excavator's bucket down this shaft and scrape it along the walls for wood samples. However, they face a setback when their first sample falls out of the bucket and splashes into the water below. This is a great challenge, but Billy the operator triumphs as he pulls out a massive beam of wood. Gary then goes to check if there is any metal in the wood by passing a detector over it. When there is no signal of metal, he determines this is a good sign as it suggests a very antiquated style of construction.
First ever searcher shaft on Oak Island.
True? True?
Well, we think. That we know of.
Yeah.
That's right.
Now they ask themselves if someone could have reconstructed the top part of shaft 2 after it was originally built in 1805. They may have found the evidence to find the original money pit. This area is a landmark for them. This operation has been an incredible success. Back at the Oak Island Research Center, Marty has met with a few people who will be involved in the well drilling, and to get on the same page as they move forward. Marty Lagina explains that he has been focused on the metals detected in the water. A few weeks back, some scientists had broken down the results of the testing they had conducted on the island, and zeroed in on a yellow district which had persistently high levels of copper, lead, zinc, and tin. Their testing has them looking at a 2,500 square foot region known as the Pie. Dr. Michelle believes that what they are looking for is in the golden egg section they have. So Marty is determined that this is where they will be drilling all the wells, to better evaluate the area. The next morning, the crew gathers to begin their testing and digging. While drilling in the golden egg, they have come across evidence that suggests a possible structure in the area, at a depth of almost 100 feet. Mike from Choice Solid Drilling explains that the sample he pulled out is soft at the top, and we learn that there is no wood in the sample, but this is a good sign as it points to them getting close to something. Marty believes that if there is something there, they will find it in that hole. Peter suggests taking some tests of the water for metal testing, and they decide to ask Dr. Spooner to take a sample. Later that afternoon, Marty returns after he is told they have made progress in the EN13 borehole made in the golden egg. Just the other day, the crew believed they had almost hit a man-made structure as they drilled nearly 100 feet underground. The new sample under a yellow cone was measured against EN13, and what they found was something coming out of the well, like loud booms that went on for half a minute. The belief is that they may be drilling near something and air getting into it. The implication being something is open down there or collapsing. Dr. Spooner believes there must be a void. All of these clues point towards something happening in this area. Dr. Spooner holds up a sample of the water, which looks yellow in the sunlight. This darker water indicates they are close to a source of wood. This development has piqued the interest of Rick Lagena, especially if it means that an underground collapse is pointing to an open chamber. They believe that water has moved from a tunnel or shaft, and all of this information is vital to know where the traces of metal are coming from. They hope that their next drilling spot will reveal even more information. The next day, they discover another Roman coin which the team has connected to descendants of Vikings, which could be important for their discussions. The historian on Oak Island explains that the Norse had reached Iceland and Greenland before 1021 AD, and after that, just a short ride away in Newfoundland, which is 600 miles northeast of Oak Island. For this reason, they are headed to that Viking settlement that was established more than a millennia ago and has been labeled by the Canadian government as a National Historic Site. Today, it is the only recognized Viking settlement in North America. According to Rick, the descendants of these Vikings are an important detail needed to understand how an old world treasure could have made its way to Oak Island.
Artifacts in the Viking Age.
Oh?
And fortunately, I have a replica here.
He believes that this history is vital for the ability of the person or people who came across the North Atlantic and do this work on Oak Island. Before their trip, they discuss bringing some of their findings like the old arrowhead along with them, as they believe they may have some connection to these Vikings and their descendants. The historian then mentions that the Viking settlement was only discovered in the 1960s, and this makes Marty laugh, as it means that there could be many more not yet discovered. The historian agrees and even believes this could mean the Vikings and Templars making their way further past Newfoundland and into Oak Island is very possible. They even have relics that point to that conclusion. Marty believes that if anything happened on Oak Island as far back as the 1200s, then it almost certainly has to be some kind of activity done by the Vikings and their descendants. Based on what they know currently, it almost has to lead to them, as very few people in that period knew about this island. It is very possible that they could have brought along the Knights Templar or any number of other people to the island with the intention of depositing something. This leads to the Laginas wanting to launch an expedition. After finding another coin on Lot 5, Alex is very excited about the crew going to L'Anse aux Meadows, or the Viking settlement on Newfoundland, and looking around while Alex remains back at the island. New insight and perspective is always important on their quest to uncover the secrets and treasures of Oak Island. Thank you so much for watching and liking this video. Don't forget to share this with your friends and family. Let us know in the comments what you think about Oak Island's many mysteries and treasures. Do you think they are getting closer to uncovering the truth of the island? If you love this content and never want to miss an update, make sure you subscribe and turn notifications on.
During the final excavations on Oak Island, a frightening discovery was made. Once again, a remarkable discovery has been made, and this time it provides conclusive evidence that the Oak Island conceals wealth. During their concluding excavation of the C1 cluster on Oak Island, the Oak Island made an unsettling discovery. The team has been keeping a close watch on the progress in the hopes that any significant developments will bring them closer to the treasure chamber or offset vault they have been searching for so long. B4 sea shaft is nearly at its utmost depth of approximately 90 feet. This location is located just 5 feet to the north of Borehole Sea. They discovered what may be the remains of 15th century wooden structures. Significant traces of silver and gold were also discovered, leading to speculation about the original location of the money pit and the possibility of a conduit leading to a treasure chamber. Well, this frightening discovery at Oak Island during the final excavation appears to be more exciting than previously believed. How did humans in the 15th century use wood to construct such complex tunnel networks? I do not understand the purpose of this. The discovery of a tunnel at a depth of 90 feet is viewed as a significant indicator that they are closing in on the original location of the money pit. Each excavation increases the likelihood that precious objects will be discovered in the subsequent grab or scoop. Since the gold was discovered in the water, they believe it may have been transported to the money pit. The group unearths a few random timber planks, but the most significant discovery is a massive iron fastener. The craftsmanship's primordial nature suggests that it is at least a century old. The fact that it occurred prior to the discovery of the money grave leads them to the conclusion that there may be artifacts from that time period somewhere. One of the items is a hand-forged spike, which immediately becomes the subject of fascination. Given the significance of each prospective lead, the organization intends to investigate the influx. It appears crude, but it contains hand-forged raw iron and shows signs of age, making it a significant artifact that may cast light on Oak Island's history. At a depth of about 130 feet in the B4C shaft, the crew encounters difficulty after hitting granite. Due to time constraints, further excavation in the money pit area cannot occur this year, but information gathered from the 5 massive steel tunnels dug in the preceding months lends credence to the theory that the treasure sought after for more than 2 centuries is still buried somewhere beneath Oak Island. The team is aware of the difficulty posed by the funding gap, as well as the significance of technological innovation and the effective application of existing technologies in order to continue their investigation. We may soon learn more about the spike's history and significance thanks to Carmen's knowledge and careful examination of it. The iron spike discovered in B4C shaft led Carmen Legg to conclude that it belonged to a Middle Ages rock drill. The crew had discovered a few swages 2 years prior, and he concluded that they may have been used to sharpen rock drills. He connected the two by asserting that the swages were found in the same location. It is believed that the rock drill, which is utilized for both drilling rocks and splitting apart enormous boulders, has been in use for quite some time. The rock tool resembles those employed in medieval times. Its very presence inspires a multitude of intriguing theories regarding the money pit's history and the wealth it conceals. The group questions if this artifact provides additional evidence that they are approaching the legendary treasure. The rock auger is historically significant because it was likely utilized in the initial construction of the money pit. The prospect of discovering a concealed chamber or room enhances the appeal of further exploration. As they reflect on the new discoveries the crew has made throughout Oak Island, such as the stone-paved section in the marsh along the ancient stone road, they ponder who may be responsible for the Oak Island enigma. Are they possibly getting closer to determining who is behind this mystery? And specifically what is hidden within the money pit? Even as they continue their quest for answers, the Lagena brothers are grateful for the unwavering support and rapt attention of their dedicated staff and audience. Given that scientific evidence indicates the presence of vast quantities of gold and silver beneath the surface, they have good cause to continue their search for the elusive treasure. As they continue to make new openings and discoveries that provide them with valuable new information, the crew remains optimistic regarding their overall progress. The discovery of the artisanal spike adds to their growing body of knowledge in this discipline, which was used to calculate the precise elevations of the tunnel. The group's intention to conduct additional research, including C14 testing, demonstrates its significance. Marty Lagina, Craig Tester, Gary Drayton, and blacksmithing expert Carmen Legg returned to the Institute to discuss the iron spike they discovered at a depth of over 100 feet in the B4C shaft. The enigma of Oak Island has evolved into a captivating tale, a perplexing puzzle whose mystique has only grown as time has passed. Their words, which emphasize their conviction that gold can be located on Oak, exude confidence. During the height of piracy in the late 17th and early 18th centuries, it was widely believed that Oak Island served as a secure haven for pirates operating along the entire east coast of North America and in the Caribbean. This notion has existed since the beginning of island exploration. They pondered whether this was the location where a pirate commander had hidden his loot. As they proceeded deeper into the tunnel, however, water began to fill it. This was owing to the peculiar location of the island they were working on, which was above a glacial mound. Despite the fact that no treasure was ever discovered on Oak Island, the legend surrounding the purported location of the loot has been so captivating for the past 225 years that visitors have been making the voyage there. Over time, others began searching for wealth all over the island, not just in the money pit dug by McGinnis and his companions. However, what is the treasure casket intended to contain? As a young man, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, who who would later become the 32nd President of the United States, became intrigued by the topic after his father, who had business interests in Nova Scotia, provided details about the rumored wealth. This was the result of FDR's father's involvement in the province. The onset of the Second World War in Europe prevented him from traveling to Oak Island in 1939, despite his efforts to keep apprised of the most recent information about the island throughout the remainder of his life. In a similar vein, two prominent actors from the middle of the 20th century, Errol Flynn and John Wayne, funded expeditions to search for the Oak Island treasure. Despite their lack of success, they continue to unearth evidence that fascinates and confounds people in equal measure. Be sure to subscribe and enable post notifications for more timely updates on fascinating new discoveries. Numerous individuals have a variety of plausible and implausible hypotheses regarding the contents of the Oak Island treasure. The most prevalent and plausible explanation is that it is the plundered fortune of a notorious pirate who operated between 1660 and 1730, which is generally accepted to have been the golden age of piracy. Famous pirates and buccaneers frequented the rivers along the east coast of North America, from Canada to the Caribbean during this time period. Edward Teach, also known as the infamous pirate Blackbeard, was one of these individuals. Due to the high level of piracy that existed during this time, the governments of Spain, England, France, and other countries with a financial stake in the security of their commerce in this region were unable to prevent pirate attacks on colonial ships returning to Europe. Beginning with the Treaty of Utrecht, which ended the War of the Spanish Succession in 1713 and was signed by the main European powers, coordinated attacks on pirate ships put an end to the golden age of piracy in the Western Atlantic. The Treaty of Utrecht terminated the War of the Spanish Succession officially. The history of the Money Pit on Oak Island is shrouded in mystique. According to geology, the Money Pit was not an underground vault constructed by humans to hold wealth. The bedrock of the island is readily eroded due to its proximity to the ocean and groundwater. Sinkholes can result from the collapse of a network of faults and underground caverns beneath the surface. Despite this, the island's allure has attracted treasure hunters. The stories have provoked and fueled speculation regarding the crater's origins. A significant ship find alters everything. The Curse of Oak Island's 8th season centers on the discovery of a significant ship that could change the course of the inquiry completely. The gang discovers a polished piece of wood that resembles a handrail, which prompts them to surmise that it was once a section of a ship's railing that was attached to the surrounding stone road. This finding adds to the body of data that suggests the wetland once served as an open seaport. However, a large object is impeding their efforts and keeping them from going any further. The gang remains unwavering in their resolve to explore the marsh and learn what lies beneath its surface despite this obstacle. Despite the fact that a significant ship finding has completely changed everything. One of the objects that the crew discovers is a polished piece of wood that resembles a railing. They believe it to be a fragment of a ship's railing, and that it is attached to the surrounding stone path. This would provide as another evidence that the marsh formerly served as an open harbor. They encounter a large item, though, which prohibits them from exploring further and learning more. They won't stop looking until they find what's hidden there, since the group is certain that the swamp holds the knowledge they require. During the 8th season of The Curse of Oak Island, a significant shipwreck is discovered and made public. The group finds a significant relic that has the power to change the direction their search will take, which throws everything into confusion. The find raises questions about the ship's history and purpose, while also giving the members new causes for optimism and excitement. The group is more motivated than ever to carry out their inquiry and uncover new clues that could ultimately unveil the secrets of Oak Island, as the mystery grows more baffling. A number of shipping logs